Today I am covering patch notes. It's a little bit overdue, but I'm fed up with the game right now, and there's a lot of topics I want to talk about. Good changes in the patch notes and changes that we have not seen that we definitely need to see before this game buries itself. Look, if you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit the sub button, crush the like button. Let's get right into a game. Gang, I know it's overdue, but we are going to go ahead and go over these patch notes. Starting off with buy stations, I thought this was a huge improvement to the game. So it says reduce the cost of primary loadout weapons from 2,500 down from 5,000. This was a huge improvement to the game in terms of speed, and you would go half the game just to get this money. Now I know people are like, oh, you could land at catch registers, or oh, you could land at the safe crackers, but that was a problem for me. But 2,500 you get relatively quick, and you can easily get a gun off drop at 2,500. 5,000 was too much, so now for 5k you can get both guns. But on the topic of this, I want to just go ahead and cover this. It's not in the patch notes, it's something they just kind of threw on as a like a holiday event, I guess you would call it. Loadout drops. So there are loadout drop grenades at buy stations right now. If you are in solos, they are 8,000, duos 16,000, trios 24k. If you're in quads, they are 32,000. That is not worth it. Here's the biggest reason why I think that's not worth it. Loadout drops now, if you look at the things right here, loadout drop public event will occur during the second circle. That's one earlier than before. It used to come to third. You're just now getting 32k by the second circle unless you drop it like the money spot by high rise. No one's trying to run around and just get the money spot or just do safe crackers off the rip. I mean, if you play like I do, you want to land, get your guns, and get to frying. Absolutely. That's what made Warzone so unique. That's what made the tournament so unique. The kill races, everybody was able to land at their spot, get plenty of money, get the loadout, and get going. It's the biggest problem with this game. You can't land anywhere you want and just get a loadout. In the first Warzone, throwing it all the way back to Verdansk, you land wherever you want, you're coming out with a loadout drop. That was the beauty of the game, and they took that feature away. I mean, the reduced primary at 2,500, that's awesome, but 32k for a loadout drop in quads is not it. That is not worth it. I think in the near future, we're gonna start seeing these patch notes and go, oh, of course, yeah, right. They're just gonna start falling back in time. Like, it's a trend with this game. Every time they try a huge change and it flops, they're trying to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed. You know, don't fix it if it's not broken. They're stuck in this way where they keep fixing and fixing and fixing, and then we just resort all the way back. I think Warzone 2 would be a flawless game if we polished out the mechanics and we brought back what made Warzone 1 so unique. Loadout drops, a little bit of movement would be nice. The buy stations are so clunky. I mean, there's a lot. Some of the change I really like, but in the same sense, if we would have just gotten Al Mazrah with the same Warzone 1 mechanics, it would have been such a greater success. I think the downfall of the first Warzone was Caldera, but enough of all that. We got a few more bug fixes and patches that we have gotten. It says it fixed an issue that caused the Champion's Quest element negative effects to remain on screen after dropping outside of the playable boundaries. So I had the glitch a couple times on stream. Essentially, you would be playing and Champion's Quest notifications would just be popping up constantly on your screen saying, like, you know, you are the champion, whatever it may be. It would not go away. It would constantly stop. So that's gone, which is awesome. DMZ, it is what it is. We're gonna kind of scoot past that. But recently implemented, these are honestly some solid changes. The chance to encounter multiple circles has been reduced to 15%, down from 33%. That's a pretty big change. I noticed, like, I mean, you think 33%, but that's 1 in every 3 games you're gonna get a split circle. I definitely think that needed to be reduced. I hate getting stuck in a split circle and not having people in the circle. I think it's a really cool dynamic, but the circles move way too slow to be splitting. If we're gonna start splitting circles, we need to add more speed to the game, more of a dynamic. I think it'd be crazy if circles, let's say you have a 3-way circle, instead of them all closing this way, once they split, if they did a rotation. So, you know, you can honestly, like, if you're in this one, it's rotating this way, you can make that quick run through the gas. I think that'd be a super neat something they could implement if they would pick up the speed of the storm. But as of right now, like there's no way you're dying to the storm. It's not fast. It's very, very slow. They definitely got to pick that up to pick the pace of this game up. The slower the pace of this game, the more we're going to lose players. I think it's, especially with a lot of games nowadays, it's hard to keep someone's attention span when it's just so drooling and boring. Everything's fast paced nowadays. You know, the colors, everything needs to be like in your face, bright, vivid, and fast. They need to pick that up, but I definitely like that there's not as many split circles now. The heavy chopper has been disabled while we investigate options to balance this vehicle for late game. Essentially, the problem was there's actually, I think, what video was that? I think it was the RPK video, my first RPK video. The final zone, it's Grizzly and I. There's 3 people in a heavy chopper, like above the final ring, and we actually clutched the match and win. But in the same sense, it was very cheap. It was very, very annoying. If they wanted to fix this, per se, I mean, they could add like a self-detonating timer on these things. So, you know, by the 3rd or 4th ring, maybe 5th, they're just gonna blow up. I think that's the easiest way to do it, unless they get rid of them completely, which I don't think necessarily they need to do. I think it's fun if you're a casual gamer, you just want to like, I don't want to say role play, but you just want to mess around with the friends. The heavy chopper's a lot of fun, but for the end game, very silly, very cowardish. I think they need to add like a self-detonation to it. So when you're inside of it, maybe there's a timer so you know it's limited. After X amount of time, chopper's gonna detonate and move on from there. Double the average number of buy stations per battle royale match. Dub. They needed this so bad. That's one thing that made Warzone 1 the pacing so much faster. There were buy stations all over the map. And that's usually where you got into your confrontations, going from buy station to buy station, which brings me to my next point. UAVs. Warzone 1, you'd get in a fight, pop a UAV, win the fight, collect the money from it. You'd need to get to your next nearest buy station to get another UAV popped, so you can keep the action going, keep it moving. Well, you can only buy 1 UAV per buy. I don't know if it's a glitch right now, but if you buy like 3 plates, you can get another UAV. If that's just a game feature, chalk it. Like, that's so silly. Like, you don't need to be buying. We need pacing in this game. They made the TTK super fast in this game, which for years they've been pushing a slower TTK with a faster gas play. They made the gas slow and they made the TTK fast. They went for a polar opposite and it's flopping heavy. I love the game. Like, I absolutely love it. I love making this content, but it's getting it's starting to feel like a job. Like, it's starting to feel like a chore almost. And I really don't want that to happen, because I absolutely love making these videos. I love supporting the game and playing it, but there's some big changes that need to take place. I think doubling the average number of buy stations is a step in the right direction, but we need to make it a little more user friendly and more UAVs. We just don't even put a limit on the UAVs. That's silly. They need to get rid of that. We already covered this. The loadout drops occur in the 2nd circle. If you haven't played yet, if you haven't played in a while, Mini Royale actually has a really fast pace. I've been playing it a lot. I really enjoy that. And you notice the loadout drops do fall really quick. It is definitely nice. Again though, like, let's go back to the Warzone 1 vibes, man. Let's get the loadouts going. Let's get everything going quick. I'm tired of buying one gun. You know, it's hard to make a video on like a best loadout when you can hardly get all your guns, especially in quads. I feel like when you play in quads, you use one of your guns and then a random's gun. You know, I want to use my setups. I want my perks. I want to be able to play my game. I thought coming into this new game, with them adding the skill tree, you know, or like the gun tree, you know, you unlock attachments for one whole group and it's unlocked for 5 different weapons. That was an easier way to unlock all attachments for weapons. And I thought when that happened, oh, it's a lock. Loadouts are going to be back. No one's going to complain as much as, oh, well, I don't own the full game or this, that. They made it easier, but they made it easier and then they made it harder to actually achieve the weapons. One step forward, 2 steps back, you know? Going on to the bug fixes. Fix an issue that caused players to unintentionally lose a small amount of cash when equipping a loadout. That's a solid change. Fix an issue that resulted in base AI combatant difficulty being increased across DMZ that was only intended for a specific area. Certain areas have like some really cracked bots. You'd be running around and run into the cracked bots. But I will say, I kind of wish all the bots were cracked in DMZ. If they want to make DMZ gritty and like edge of your seat, intense, a lot of fun, they need to make it hard, like super duper duper hard. So there's a reward factor. Loot and shoot games are gambling. That's the whole premise of it. That's what makes your blood pump. When you're playing Escape from Tarkov, when you're playing Rust, when you're playing Marauders, what gets your blood pumping is the fact that you know if you lose this, you lose this. And if there's no risk in really going out, you know, fighting squads is one thing, but shooting at AIs that are at like rookie level, not a challenge. Let's make it where you actually have to crawl around the map. You know, make it a little more intense. That'd be neat. But these are what we're working with right now in the patch notes. Again, just to summarize everything, primary guns are now 2,500. That's a dub, but we need a loadout. The $10,000 loadout, that we need a bag. That's wraps. 32K for a loadout drop. Chalk it, just count it out. Enough people are gonna complain about this. They're gonna support the fact that it's in, but complain about the price. That's what's gonna save loadout drops. I'm sure in the next 3 or 4 weeks, we will see loadout drops come back at maybe 10K. But if they're trying to be like, oh, well, 15, they need to forget about it. They're going to bury this game if they don't act quick. Look, if you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit that sub button, crush that like button. I catch y'all tomorrow for another heater. Let's get it, gang.